Hey everybody, what's up? I'm doing minimalist makeup today, which means really nothing. I have my moisturizer on, my beauty serum. And now I'm just doing bronzer. Just gonna do some bronzer. I'm not even doing any foundation. My puffy brush. I'm just gonna give myself a little bit of color. I'm gonna pretend, because it's 50 degrees here in New Hampshire, I'm gonna pretend like it's a huge heat wave. So I'm gonna bronze my face with this because I'm gonna pretend it's 50 degrees in New England. Woo, everybody going out to the beach. I went for a walk at the beach today. I did, but I'm not gonna do any foundation. I'm feeling like I don't want any, I don't need any, all right? So there's nothing wrong with minimalist makeup. There's nothing wrong with no makeup. Girl, you do what you wanna do, you know what I'm saying? Hey everybody, hey. So I'm gonna do my Epic mascara, my one step, beautiful stuff. So let's talk about this millennial stuff. I really wanna know, I've seen posts in the past and I've seen videos done, making fun of millennials. And it's starting to piss me off a little bit. I have to say, I saw one this morning and it was another video about a millennial job interview, something like that. And I didn't even watch the whole thing because I'm I don't even wanna see, I don't fill my head with negative crap and things that are ragged. Maybe it was funny, but I'm imagining it was not really supposed to be flattering to millennials. I think that's what it was, a millennial job interview. And so let me know, anyone who's watching, hey, I'm glad you're here. Let me know what your thoughts are on millennials, whether you're a millennial or not. I am Gen X, and I find it especially interesting that Gen X has so much to say about millennials, considering aren't we the ones that raised a lot of them? Aren't Gen X the parents of most of these millennials? Maybe some baby boomers thrown in there, but mostly Generation X. So I find it interesting that there's so much criticism about millennials, saying that they're lazy, entitled, they have no clue, they don't care. They're just, selfish and all of that. And I don't know. I just really have to disagree. I don't know. I mean, Generation X, I think we were called the same type of names as a very lazy, apathetic, just kind of slacker generation that stood for nothing. And I'm hoping that that changes at some point soon. I'm calling on, Gen Xers to really rise up, especially now as we are getting to be that age where we're approaching almost, dare I say, parents of teenagers, parents of young adults, maybe even grandparents in 10 or so years. So we are the ones that are going to really be filling a lot of leadership positions in our culture. And I'm talking about America because that's where I live and that's what I know of. So I feel Gen X has to step it up a little bit. Instead of going around and pointing fingers at this and that, and this is what we don't like and what's not working, when there's one finger pointed out, there are 4 that are pointed back at you, or 3 that are pointed back at you, right? So really a time to reflect on ourselves and what do we need to do to make some cultural shifts around here? Because I feel like it's really that time. So ragging on millennials is really not the way to do it. I actually feel like millennials are, I love working with millennials. I have to say, and I just admire so many of them because I find them to be not lazy. I find them to be motivated. I find them to be driven. And the best thing I love about millennials is I feel like they're so open-minded. They are willing to sit back and look at all different sides of a situation, all different kinds of people, and really are willing to challenge the status quo. The millennials aren't just taking everything for a fact. And maybe that's why Generation Xers get grumpy, because millennials have no problem questioning you, and which is hilarious because we raised them to be that way. That's that's what we wanted. We wanted free thinkers. We wanted children that could make decisions, make choices. I mean, you see all the parenting books that are just talk about letting children make choices and letting them have a voice, because when Generation X's were raised, right, and probably our parents, baby boomers, and then their parents, children did not have a voice. It was be seen and not heard, right? You do what you're told. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. And you don't question authority. You don't question what is. You just go with it and you accept it. And then what happens is, I think there's some value to that, because you do have to have some level of self-discipline and self-control. And I feel like that's the good part about those things, is that people had a level of self-control. The tough part and the bad part about it was that so many people didn't feel okay expressing themselves, didn't feel okay to pursue the lives they really wanted to. So we ended up as generations with a lot of Xanax and, you know, a lot of alcohol and a lot of like really, I feel, outside addictions in order to fill certain holes and gaps. So, and I feel like a lot of us wanted to raise our children, so millennials and down, to not feel that contained and not feel that they couldn't express themselves and not feel like that they had to shut the hell up, like they could have thoughts and feelings and they were heard and validated and they could make choices. And the tough part about that one is sometimes it bites us in the ass as parents, because then we have kids who are bossing us around, and it's like, like some kids, like there's this delicate parenting balance between kind of like being too conservative and too almost constricted, and then being super open and free, right? There has to be some happy medium, which I certainly have not found, and I'm not going to claim to have found it. So, you know, so, and I think a lot of us go back and forth with that, because, and the baby boomers, I think too, are critical of, you know, the younger generations, meaning X and Y / millennials, because of the fact that we feel okay telling authority to back off and beat it, and we come out with our voices, and we don't always follow the directions that we're supposed to. We do all sorts of things that are different. We may not go to the same church we went to growing up. We may not use the same brand of laundry detergent growing up. I mean, let's face it, like, right? Our families before were rooted in so much tradition, down to like the little things, like, well, I use the same kind of soap that my grandmother used, because that's just what we did. And now, you know, there's just the millennials and down, I think there's so changes the way they grew up. I mean, they grew up with this technology, even like everything's changing, it's fast, and they're okay with that. They're okay with changing, and they're just okay now. And the whole technology thing is another conversation. Too much phone, too much this, too much that, and I'm sure there's value in that and not value in that. Just like everything, right? Too much of something is usually not good. But I think overall, they are just going to be like some thought leaders. Millennials, Generation Y, like they're not afraid to speak their minds. They're not afraid to think outside the box. They're not afraid to try new things. They're not afraid to do something differently, even if their parents didn't do it that way, which I love. And I find that because I'm in like the home business, you know, entrepreneurial space a lot, and I meet so many millennials that they're doing a lot of great things. They're really trying to motivate other women and other people. They're trying to really expand minds, be very, very spiritual, be very, like, really talk about preserving humanity, especially in a time when we're getting so divided. I believe the millennials are going to be the one to start closing that gap that's being created right now, because they see the value in other human beings, and they see, you know, other ways to do things that their parents or their grandparents didn't think was possible. They're willing to try. They're willing to risk. I know a lot of coaches who are millennials, and they, you know, I feel like their clients, they usually your client base is similar to where you're at, and they're so willing to really invest in themselves and get that coaching and get that help, do that self-development work, and really expand their minds. And I think that's just tremendous and priceless. So whenever I hear people like ragging on millennials and the way they're talking, and that they just don't know where they're going and what they're doing, and they're not going to be able to make it in the world, I mean, I think that's crap. I think that's a load of bullshit. But I also think it's the parents' job to kind of guide them and teach them the way, you know, so they go out to be adults. They know kind of how to navigate in the world. That really speaks to, well, parents need to kind of close that gap a little bit then. But millennials are already in their 20s, so I mean, that's a different story. But for like the younger generations, like, you know, you can help your children, prepare them for the world, but you don't have to prepare them to do it as you have done it. So I'm really thrilled that my daughter, you know, or my children can express themselves any way they want. If my daughter wants to color her hair, so whatever she wants to do, and she believes that she can. And so they have amazing opportunities, especially with these little phones right here. our generations, millennials and down, can do so many things in the world just with this phone. It's crazy. And they have grown up knowing how to use social media from the get-go. So they have a huge advantage in the future of this world. Like my kids are probably going to be teaching me how to do, like, use a robot and how to navigate in virtual reality. Like, that's going to be their world. You know, right now I can tell them, here's how you take a selfie, kids. But they're going to be teaching me how to, like, live in a virtual reality and how to use robots to do that. Like, it's going to be so crazy, but they're ready for it. See, that's a good thing. They're ready for change, and they're okay with change. So I just saw a bus drive by outside the window and had a moment of panic. Like, I need to be out there for the bus, but that's a different bus. Okay, so, oh my gosh, all adrenaline just rushed through me. Because when I get talking, you know it, like the time passes. But, you know, so I just challenged Generation X women. Okay, right now, this is kind of where I'm going with this, that this is my theme for the 2018, is all about the inner goddess and really unleashing, reigniting, instead of getting triggered and pissed off by millennials and younger because of whatever reason, whatever judgments you think or whatever criticisms you have, really maybe take it as an opportunity to look and say, what about that is triggering me? Why am I triggered by that? Why do I think they're lazy? Why do I think that they are, you know, like out there and just woo-woo and all of that stuff? And what about that do I need to learn? Because I feel like if, you know, Generation X especially, we had a lot of pressure put on us. We had this, you know, moms who worked, you know, a lot of parents, like we were some of the first latchkey children where both parents had to work. We were alone in the house, where traditionally mom was home. So we had a lot of changes. We had to, you know, now as women especially, pressure to excel in corporate America, to break the glass ceiling, but to be at home with your kids and be a good mom and keep in shape and do all these things. And, you know, I think a lot of women just kind of went, and just lost a sense of who they were, what they wanted, and they felt like they're tied down, or they're in a life that they don't always feel fulfilled and excited and energized by. That's not to say that you don't love your children, that you don't love your spouse to pieces with all your heart and soul. Of course you do. Some women absolutely know that their life purpose is to just like be that wife and mom and just to do that, and that's totally awesome. There's nothing wrong with that. Some other women feel like, you know, they love being a parent, they love being a spouse, but they have a calling to do something else. They just don't know what it is. So they're frustrated and they're pissed off. Like their callings of their soul has been pushed down for so long, and they didn't feel safe expressing themselves. They didn't feel safe to go out and do what they wanted to do, hiding behind their kids or hiding behind their spouse or hiding behind certain things, maybe health issues as an excuse, when then they just are not, you know, really letting themselves go, being who they're meant to be, being who they once wanted to be, even though that may not be what you need or what is in store for you right now. But, you know, I see a lot of women that are frustrated. They're just stuck and they're bored and they're frustrated and they're longing for something else. So this is the year, I feel like, to really come out and start to express ourselves in a totally new way, to kind of take an example from the millennials. This is what I'm trying to tell you, is that I think we should really look to them as our teachers a little bit. We may have some more life wisdom than them because of our age, but we have a lot to learn from them as in the sense that they are free to take risks. They are open-minded. They are, I feel, quite accepting of people's differences, and know how to work within that to really collaborate with others and form really powerful alliances to make positive change. And they're willing to invest in themselves. They're willing to, and also acknowledge that their self-care, taking care of their own mind, body, soul, is so key to them showing up as their best selves in their lives. And that may mean showing up as a best mom, showing up as the best wife, showing up as the best partner, the best sister, or, you know, friend, whatever it is, you know, employee, entrepreneur, business owner, whatever it is, to show up as your best, you need to have that goddess, that inner goddess unleashed, because when she's not, she gets tense, right? And things get hard. You know, you always find that you find the negative things that keep happening. Why does this keep happening to me over and over again? I get stuck, I get blocked, you know, something doesn't go right, I just don't have any luck. And that's some part of you saying, I have a need that's not being met. I am doing something that's going against my inner self. what I'm made to do. My life purpose is like knocking at the door. And that doesn't even have to be, life purpose doesn't mean career. It doesn't have to be, it can be. And I think that's so rewarding when your life purpose also is your source of income as well. When you're kind of in that form of being of service and then being able to make an income at the same time and make an impact, that's huge. But it doesn't have to be. You could be, you know, life purpose could be volunteering something. Like I said, your life purpose could just be like being a spouse or a mom. Like, and this, you will know in your gut what your purpose is. You will know, and you will feel at peace, and you will feel energized by that. If you're telling yourself that's your purpose because you think that's what you should say, or you feel guilty if you say that it's, you know, not quite what your purpose is, although you love being where you are because you know you're blessed on so many levels, but you feel like guilty wanting something else, you know, release that. I challenge you and invite you to release that and explore that some more, because if you feel that tension at all, or that inner conflict or that frustration, or easily triggered, when people are easily triggered by stuff, especially on Facebook, then I know there's some part of your inner goddess that needs to be unleashed. So you need to explore that. And so I'm challenging, especially my Gen X sisters, because we are in that leadership role right now. We are at the age where we are leading our world, our nation, you know, and so why not be the best us that we can be? Why not partner with the millennials and really bring this world into a newer place of acceptance, understanding, tolerance, brotherhood, and sisterhood, and really a place of taking care of our earth, taking care of our people, and really enjoying humanity again, instead of really focusing on what makes us different and why, and being afraid of that difference, okay? It's time to, whoa, my phone's being funky. You know, it's time to really come together and unite. So I want to I want to invite my Gen X sisters, my millennial sisters too, but my Gen X sisters to come on over to my Divinely Inspired Goddesses group, because for the next 7 weeks, we're going to work on really unlocking the steps, unlocking different parts of that inner goddess, and really it's really the start of the journey. There's so much to inner goddess, right? There's physical well-being, there's vitality, there's clarity, peace of mind, there's intimacy, relationships, sex, there's joy, there's play, there's fulfillment, satisfaction, career, work, impact. Let's see what else. Like I said, I already said health and well-being, just connectedness and purpose, passion. There's so much around that, and there's so many different ways to really get, and there's knowing your self-worth. Okay, knowing your self-worth, and not being afraid to speak your truth, okay? And we can speak our truth with grace, love, dignity, and respect. But nevertheless, goddesses need to speak their truth, and women need to rise up and do this. And I believe millennials have already got this. For the large part, you girls have it. And if you don't, talk to me. Maybe you need a little bit of tweaking here and there. We all do. We've all had situations in our lives, setbacks, limiting beliefs, traumatic things that have happened, experiences that made us a little bit afraid at times. And so the key is to really take what we have to learn from it, and then, you know, push the fear aside a bit and keep going forward and keep chasing after your passion, your purpose, and your dreams, because the world needs this right now. The world needs all of us right now, all of us goddesses, to step up. But again, I especially want to reach out to my Generation X sisters, because this is a real opportunity now for you to change your life in the way that you want to really find the satisfaction and fulfillment that you've been longing for, instead of just feel like you're going through the motions and you're just so sick and tired of being sick and tired, but you don't know what else to do. Just feeling like you're bored shitless sometimes, even though you absolutely love the people around you, where you're at, but you feel like there's a piece of that joy missing. Like, why couldn't you, was adulting supposed to be this hard? You know, like, I feel like there's so many jokes about adulting. I'm like, adulting should be really fun. Like, that's, you know, our time to be free and express ourselves and create what we want and manifest what we want. It's not supposed to be this burden. Like, I don't want to adult today. I don't think you want to go back to being like a kid, right? I mean, but you still can take those qualities of being a kid, the qualities, the joy, the play, the creativity, the connection, the friendships, the sisterhood, the laughing your ass off, eating ice cream. You can take all these things, going to an amusement park and scaring the shit out of yourself on a roller coaster. You can do all these things, you know, to paint, to use clay, get dirty. So let's talk about all this stuff. And I invite you to come to my group, again, Divinely Inspired Goddesses, Millennial, Generation X, whatever. I want all the goddesses to come on over and really start the journey on really peeling back those layers, because like I said, we're at a time, hello kids, we're at a time when we really need I'll go back to the Dalai Lama, right? The Dalai Lama said that he believes the world will be saved by the Western woman. And I think what he meant by that is when women are being their authentic and true selves and really playing from that higher self, and they're connected with their true selves. They're connected with their divine spirit. They're one with the divine wisdom, okay? You're listening to your intuition, and you're operating from that place and those gifts that make you uniquely woman, uniquely feminine. So it's time to make that happen. We need this. We need it. So with that, I'm going to put on my metallic lipstick, and I will see you all tonight, right? You're going to come on? Who's going to come on for the angel card reveal? I hope to see you all there, because I am going to be doing 1-card readings if you come it's like 9:37, I think I said, some funky time, Eastern time tonight. And if you want me to, if you raise your hand and say, yes, please, I will go ahead and draw 1 card for you and give you an immediate 1-card reading right then and there live. So it's super fun. We've been doing that for the past couple of nights, and it's been really cool. So come on over. It'll be on my business page, Jen Rapinian, Divinely Inspired Life, but I will share it to my personal page so you can see it. So love to see all of you on there to jump on and hang out. It's getting loud and wild and woolly in here. So I am going to go and do some family stuff, but I will see you tonight. Have a blessed, blessed afternoon. Thank you for hanging with me.